Barcelona do have Nico Williams, yes. Luis Díaz though, he's very silent. And most importantly, La Liga continues with these limitations. We're going to be talking about Barcelona's high wire summer. There is a pre-agreement as of now between Nico Williams and FC Barcelona. Sources close to the negotiations confirm that Nico Williams has shaken hands on a Barcelona deal running until 2031 at 12 million euros gross per season. Nico Williams' camp describes the pact as complete in principle pending the league registration. Athletic Club's insiders now also whisper about a lost situation, meaning that Athletic Club are very much prepared for not having Nico Williams in the next season, and it's done. Athletic Club are not going to be blocking no move. They will make it very easy on FC Barcelona, but now it is simply on just Barcelona's court on whether they can find the funds and the correct operation to make this move happen. And the reason why this is a big deal is because unlike the previous renewals, Williams is actively pushing for the move by meeting with Barcelona's hierarchy. As explained in the previous video, he's exploring housing in Catalonia and keeping it very silent on Athletic Club's extension offers. However, La Liga president Javier Tebas came out with two warning shots. He spoke about Joan García and Nico Williams during an interview earlier today, and so this is what he said. Now I'm going to be explaining what he does mean by this. I don't know, but in the end, you hear so many names like Nico Williams. First of all, whatever they need to register has to be real, and I don't know if it is, but they still don't meet the requirements to sign players freely. They still can't sign under the 1-1 rule. If they want Nico Williams, they'll have to sell and make major adjustments for their finances. Then he spoke about Joan García, and this is what he said. One thing is to make the signing of Joan García official, and another is to register him. Barcelona has to do things to be able to register him, not many, but they have to do things and they already know what they are, but we don't even have dates. We'll see. So to give you guys a better understanding on what Javier Tebas is trying to say here, and we're going to go into further depth about this squad cost limit situation, this is basically what he said. Barcelona remain under the squad cost limit handbrake. What Barcelona will need to do is to offload a lot of salaries, book a lot of profits before June 30th, 2025. So in about 13 days from today. Once they do that, Nico Williams' 58 to 62 million euro release clause plus the 12 million euro wage can be slotted into the wage bill and into La Liga's spreadsheets. That is what Javier Tebas is asking for. So right now, Joan Laporta is looking at the situation and saying, okay, this is how much we're going to spend on Nico Williams in terms of the wages, the fees. If we buy him right now and we get this deal done, this is what we need to do for the next 12 to 13 days to make sure that by the time June 30th does come in, Barcelona is in a healthy situation. We'll come back into this in just a few minutes, but let me speak about Luis Díaz and this dilemma. Barcelona's plan A did involve Luis Díaz, and what Barcelona wanted was to see Luis Díaz press Liverpool to leave and to go to FC Barcelona because that is what gives Barcelona the leverage. But Luis Díaz has not said a single thing. There has been no public push from Luis Díaz, no transfer request, and no private meetings. And this did frustrate the board. Barcelona are patient, but their patience is wearing thin. And this is the reason why Barcelona are going in full force with Nico Williams, because they believe that Luis Díaz is just not going to do anything. Because with the case of Nico Williams, he's pushing daily. He's doing the exact opposite of Luis Díaz. Nico is asking for the updates on whether he's going to become a Barcelona player, yes or no. And so that is it when it comes to these three players. For Nico Williams, the pre-agreement has been signed. Everything is well between Nico and Barcelona. The clause is ready. Athletic Club are saying 58 million euros to 62 million euros is okay. Just pay that and you guys will be fine. The only thing that we need is the green light from La Liga. For Luis Díaz, talks have stalled. They're losing patience. And as for Joan García, the deal is done, and most likely Joan García will be announced by Barcelona within the next 48 hours. Now, let's go into the specifics on what has been going on and what Barcelona need to do to convince to La Liga that they will be financially healthy by June 30th. It's going to be a very complex situation. This is the reason why a lot of people do hate La Liga. It's simply because it is just so complex. There's so many things that we have to check off, but I'm going to try my very best to make sure that you guys have a better understanding on what Barcelona is going through. And so look, on the timeline, the deal looks simple. You trigger Nico Williams' 58 million euro release clause and you present him in Barcelona by July 1st, right? It seems simple, but Joan Laporta's sporting staff and the financial advisors are stuck in a different browser tab compared to us because there's something that exists, which is called La Liga's squad cost limit and the squad cost limit spreadsheet. Until that cell turns green, every here we go that we hear and what you guys have been asking for is going to stay gray. Why is June 30th a very important year? That is because clubs in La Liga close their fiscal year. La Liga is going to be looking at all the clubs and looking at their revenues, the cost, and the profits on player sales, and they have until midnight on June 30th. So for example, if Barcelona sell a player on June 29th, that gain bid that we do make is going to count for the now, for this summer. If we sell a player on July 2nd, it counts for January. So here is what's going to look like by early July. Each club submits a budget, and we have La Liga's validation body that sets a new squad cost limit for every club. And so for FC Barcelona, we'll see what that is. And the reason why this does matter is because if you're over the cap that La Liga has set on you, you do fall under the 1-2 rule or like 1-4 rule, meaning that you have to let go of 4 different players to bring in 1. It's important for us to not go over that cap that La Liga does set on us. So for example, if we go over that cap and we go into July, the transfer window is open, we want to sign a certain player, we can only reinvest the sales that we do make after July 1st with a total of 25 to 50%. We cannot use the whole thing because we're not in the 1-1 rule, because we have showed to La Liga before July 1st that we went over the cap. So can you imagine, right? Within the context of FC Barcelona, we sign Nico Williams. Everything is good. Everything for Barcelona seems healthy, whatever, right? But then once we have Nico Williams in our squad and we go into July 1st, Barcelona could not sell anybody all the way until the end of June. Javier Tebas is going to say, oh my God, you guys brought in Nico Williams. He's in your squad. You guys did not sell any players. Okay, now that we're in July 1st, now that we're in July 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th, if you guys want to sell players, so be it. But just know that because you guys have signed Nico Williams, you guys have went over budget. You guys have went over the squad cost limit. So every time you sell a player like, for example, Ter Stegen, let's just say 20 million euros, for example, to Qatar or Saudi or wherever, maybe in Turkey, that 20 million euros cannot be fully spent. You can only use 20 to 25% of that. Once again, because you guys went over the squad cost limit. You guys brought in Nico and you guys could not let go of anybody else. So if we were to sell Ter Stegen after July 1st and we do sell him for 20 million euros and we only use 10% of that, that means that the rest, right, the other 90% of the 20 million euros is going to be used in January. We cannot use that in the summer. That is what makes things so tricky. This is the games of Javier Tebas. So ideally, if Joan Laporta wants to make good things happen after July 1st and we want to sign more players, ideally we want to sell Ansu Fati, Ter Stegen, whoever, right? Pau Victor, maybe Gerard Martin before June 30th. So all of those profits, the full amount can go straight to us and do a lot of damage in the summer of 2025. And we don't have to be limited and say, oh my God, okay, so we sold these 4 players, but we can only use 25% of these funds. And then right after we sign Nico Williams, now we can't even bring in Grimaldo, right? Barcelona want to make sure that all the deals are in place before June 30th in terms of exits. So after we sign Nico Williams, we can bring in Grimaldo. And so to go into the Nico Williams equation, remember his release clause is 58 to 62 million euros. He's going to be signing a 5-year deal. I know it said 2031, but I honestly believe that extra year is only going to be there simply because they want to spread out the release clause into further payments. But on average, it is going to be around 11 to 12 million euros in terms of amortization per year. Gross wage is going to be 12 million euros per year. And in total, the annual squad cost limit impact is going to be 23 to 24 million euros per year for Nico Williams. And that, my friends, that number must fit under the new cap. So you see how Barcelona is so limited. This is going to be another thing that I do want to address. This is the reason why fans hear that Barcelona are broke, or we hear that these fans are telling us that our club is broke. But then they question, oh, why do we see Barcelona linked to a 60 million euro player? Like, what's going on here? This is the reason why. It's because of this. Because cash flow and squad cost limit headroom are different currencies. Barcelona can borrow or pre-sell assets to pay Athletic Club tomorrow. But La Liga only cares how the deal affects the wage plus amortization line. And that is it. Spanish transfers overall aren't decided on the training pitch or even the bank account. They're decided on a balance sheet frozen at midnight, which is June 30th. For Barcelona, the race isn't to Athletic Bilbao for 58 million euros. It's to La Liga's spreadsheets. And we have to showcase to them that we're going to be doing this work at this specific time in order for us to do well after July 1st and sign the players, once again, that we want.